Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dominique Damien, and I'm a Safety Director with Washington Farm Bureau. Today, we'll be talking about energy control in agriculture. It applies to the service and maintenance of machines or equipment, including piping systems, if employees could be injured by the unexpected energization or startup of the machine or equipment, or the release of stored energy. Now, this is not a complete training program as it does not apply to the specific hazards at your workplace, but please feel free to ask questions throughout, and this is being recorded so you can replay it if necessary. We're talking about lockout tagout today because second to falls struck by or caught in accidents are second highest for both claim count and claim costs in agriculture. Accidents involving lack of energy control are quick, unexpected, and result in very severe injuries like amputation or death. A complete energy control program consists of a written program with specific procedures, training for both authorized and affected employees, and a regular inspection of the program to ensure that it is effective. You don't have to have a complete energy control program if the equipment being worked on receives power only through the cord or plug, if the unplugging the equipment eliminates the possibility of unexpected energization or the release of stored energy, and the plug is kept under exclusive control of the employee doing the service or maintenance. You also don't need to have a complete program if the service or maintenance is during normal production operations, as long as the employee is not required to remove or bypass a guard or other safety device or place any body part into the point of operation or any other hazardous area created by the machine. And you don't have to have a complete energy control program during minor tool changes, adjustments, and other minor services during normal production if they are routine, repetitive, and integral to the use of the equipment for production. The work is done using measures which provide effective protection from the hazards. An authorized employee is a person who has been properly trained on lockout tagout procedures for the machine or equipment that is to be serviced. An affected employee is a person who operates the machinery or equipment but does not perform the lockout procedure, or a person in the area where the machine or equipment maintenance is being done. There are several types of energy, and some are more obvious than others, like mechanical energy that's moving parts, or electrical energy, which can be live or stored. There's hydraulic energy, which is compressed or moving liquids, pneumatic, compressed air or gas, gravitational, like raised objects that can fall, and then thermal, extremely hot liquids or cold gases, and radiation, like lasers, microwaves, ultraviolet, and X-rays. Now, all of these energy sources can be stored or active. Fluids or gases may still be under pressure even after a lockout. Electricity can be stored in batteries or capacitors, and machinery may store energy in springs or gravity. You must develop a document in writing energy control procedures to protect employees doing service or maintenance of machine or equipment from potentially hazardous energy. Shutting down machinery, closing valves, or turning off electrical power to work on equipment is obvious to most people. Where injuries occur are when an employee not directly involved in servicing inadvertently reactivates the equipment while it's still being worked on. This is why lockout is required. Your procedures should consist of notifying all employees that a lockout will be taking place, then identifying all energy sources and their types, kinetic or potential, then identifying the location of those energy sources and the locks or blocks that will be needed. Note that there may be multiple devices required depending on the number and type of energy sources. Then, what are the shutdown procedures? How is the employee supposed to de-energize the equipment before locking it out? Next, dissipate any stored energy. Lock the energy sources so they cannot be reactivated by anyone while the equipment is being serviced, and then verify there is no energy to the equipment by testing it. You must make sure that energy control procedures clearly and specifically outline the scope, purpose, authorization, rules, and techniques to control hazardous energy. How will you make sure that employees follow these procedures? And then you must make sure energy control procedures identify at least the following: when the procedures must be used, what the specific procedures are for shutting down, isolating, blocking, and securing the machine or equipment, and then placing, moving, and transferring lockout or tagout devices, and who is responsible for them. And then how to test the machine or equipment to verify the effectiveness of the lockout device, tagout device, or any other energy control measures. Now you can have one procedure for similar equipment. Similar machines and equipment may be covered by a single written procedure if all of the following apply. They must use the same type and magnitude of energy. They must have the same or similar types of controls, and the specific machines and equipment covered by the procedures are identified by at least the type and location. Additionally, procedures must include how the equipment will be re-energized so affected employees will not be harmed in the process. So the procedure should explain how those employees must remove all tools, replace all guards, and make sure the equipment is ready to be re-energized. Then notify all affected employees and make sure that they are clear of the area. The authorized person removes the lockout device and then starts up or reactivates the equipment. For those procedures that for that equipment that is not required to have a specific procedure, make sure you list those operations where those procedures don't apply according to the exemptions, and the alternate measures which provide effective protection for these operations. A job safety analysis is one method of determining appropriate measures. There is exemptions for specific procedures. You don't have to have a written energy control procedure for a particular machine or equipment if all of the following apply. These are all and statements. The machine or equipment has a single energy source that is easily identified and can be isolated. The machine or equipment is completely de-energized and deactivated by isolating and locking out the energy source. There is no stored or residual energy that could be a hazard to employees, and the machine or equipment cannot reaccumulate such energy after it has been shut down. The energy source can be locked out with a single lockout device. The machine or equipment is isolated from the energy source and locked out during service or maintenance. The authorized employee doing the service or maintenance has exclusive control of the lockout device. The service or maintenance does not create a hazard for other employees, and the machine or equipment has never been unexpectedly energized or activated during service or maintenance. There may be times equipment maintenance or servicing or repair requires more than one person to be involved. This is when you would use a group lockout. Groups work must coordinate so everyone knows what the other is doing. There must be a primary authorized employee assigned to who has overall responsibility. Each authorized person puts their own unique locking device on the equipment. The lockout or tagout device cannot be removed until the work is done, and then the primary person is the last to remove their lockout device. There may be times or situations that tagout devices are the only way to prevent employee exposure to hazardous energy, when there is no way to lock out the equipment. Tags can also be used as a visual warning when lockout procedures or devices are being used. Tags are warning devices and do not provide the same level of physical restraint as a lock and may give a false sense of security. Some rules for using tags. Tags can't be removed without the approval of the person who is responsible for it. They can't be bypassed, ignored, or otherwise defeated. They must be legible and understandable, and they must be made of materials that can withstand the environmental conditions they will be exposed to, and they must be securely attached to the energy isolating device so that they can't accidentally be removed. Now, there are several types of devices. They can be combination locks or keys, or blank flanges and piping. It usually includes a tag or other notice that identifies the person authorized to remove the lock. The tags are not required as long as there is another way to communicate that the equipment is locked out and who the authorized person is. However, this is the easiest way to communicate. Additionally, look at all of these devices. If you are having trouble finding a locking device for the piece of equipment that you need to do service on, please take another look. There likely is some sort of device that can handle it. The employer must provide training to ensure that employees understand the purpose and function of the energy control program, and that employees have the knowledge and skills required to provide safe application, use, and removal of the energy controls. The training must include the recognition of applicable hazardous energy sources, the type and magnitude of the energy available in the workplace, and the methods and means necessary for energy isolation and control. Each affected employee must be instructed in the purpose and use of energy control procedures, and then all other employees who work in the area where energy control procedures will be used must be instructed about the procedures and the prohibition against attempting to restart or re-energize machines or equipment that are locked out or tagged out. There are additional requirements that apply to tagout training and communication when the tagout systems are used. Employees must also be trained in the following limitations of tags. They are only warning devices affixed to energy sources, energy isolating devices, and do not provide the physical restraint of those devices that is provided by a lock. When a tag is attached to an energy isolating device, it means it is not to be removed without the approval of the authorized person responsible for it, and it is never to be bypassed, ignored, or otherwise defeated. Tags must be legible and understandable by all authorized and affected employees. Tags and their means of attachment must be made of a material able to withstand the environmental conditions. They may create a false sense of security, and their meaning needs to be understood as part of an overall energy control program. And then tags must be securely attached to the isolating device so they can't be accidentally detached. And then you also must do retraining. You have to do retraining at least once a year. Authorized and affected employees must be retrained whenever there is a change in the job assignment, machines, equipment, or processes that present a new hazard, or when there is a change in energy control procedures. Additional retraining must be provided whenever an inspection reveals there are deficiencies in your program. And then retraining must reestablish employee proficiency and introduce new or revised control methods and procedures as necessary. Train employees, authorized and affected employees, before they are exposed to the hazard, at least annually thereafter, and whenever there is a discrepancy identified or deficiency identified in your program. And take measures to try to identify deficiencies. You must conduct an inspection of the energy control procedures at least annually to ensure that the procedures and the requirements of this standard are followed. An authorized employee other than the one using the energy control procedure must be the one to perform the inspection. So it's not the person doing the lockout, but somebody that is authorized and familiar with the program that is going to do the inspection of it. The inspection must be conducted to correct any deviations or inadequacies identified. The inspection must include a review between the inspector and each authorized employee of that employee's responsibility under the energy control procedure. So whoever's doing the inspection must talk to each authorized employee as well. The inspection must be documented with the identification of the machine or equipment on which the energy control procedures were being done, the date of the inspection, the employees included in the inspection, and the person performing it. And without any questions, we're going to end here. Please, I know this was a lot of information very quickly. That is why it is recorded. But if you have additional questions, please reach out to us. Jeff is out of the Kennewick office. I am out of the Lacey office, and then Luis is out of Sunnyside. Thank you and have a good day.